Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? Oh, lordy. The whole world's talking about it, especially those in the crypto, gold, and silver arena. What has happened to the national debt clock? Why is the oil, gold, and silver ratios to dollar down to zero? What does this mean? I actually heard somebody say by the end of tonight, around midnight, as we go into February, we are going to see the new values of gold, silver, and oil, that there's going to be a revaluing of gold and silver and oil. I'm not sure where that information came from, but it's interesting that they made that suggestion. There's nothing sinister going on, you guys. You just have to pay attention to how the debt clock works. Look, you should not be surprised at the manipulation of data when it comes to the government. But I'm going to go ahead and explain to you why these are at zero here in just a moment. Before we get started, do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button. And if you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I certainly do appreciate it. If you're thinking about buying gold and silver, head on over to our friends at Money Metals Exchange. The link will be down below in the description. If you are a first-time buyer and you spend more than $100, use promo code Pimpy Silver. Yes, it has changed. PIMPY-SILVER. So if you're watching this video and it's an older video, make sure you check on current videos, because the code is going to be changing from time to time from now on. Also, I can be found on other platforms. Everybody knows I have my own website, Pimpy's News Network. Over here, I post videos that I can't get away with over on YouTube. Also, I have a group on Facebook called Pimpy's Investment Chat. Over here, we do talk about gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, as well as foreign currency investments. Come on over here and join us. It's free to do so. You can also come follow me on Twitter, MeWe, YouTube, and Odyssey. The links for all these platforms will be down below in the description. So for whatever reason, if I get removed off of one platform, you could find me on the others. For those of you looking for my address, there it is right here. Feel free to pause the video. Go ahead and write it down. If you want to reach out to me, please do so. Also, many of you have been bugging me about getting on Rumble, so I have opened up a Rumble account. There's no videos on it yet. I'm still setting it up, so as soon as it is completely set up, I will have the videos on there. But there is a link to my platform on Rumble down below in the description with the other links. I saw some posts from the people in the crypto world laughing, saying that, gold and silver is no longer valuable. Somebody was giving me a quote from the Bible about how gold and silver will lose its value. And I've heard that quote before from the Bible, but you obviously have to read the passages before and after. It's talking about a certain group of individual where gold and silver will not have any value to them. Okay, and so read that. Just don't say, oh, the Bible says gold and silver is not going to have no value. Only to a particular group of people. So no, gold and silver did not lose its value. That's not what happened. So if the powers that be we're going to go ahead and set the value to gold and silver down to zero, then why would the central banks around the world be buying gold at record levels? It's happening everywhere around the world. So the banks are buying up all the gold. India appears to be buying up all the silver. They're definitely buying the precious metals like there's no tomorrow. So like I say, do as they do, not as they say. No, the value of gold and silver did not drop down to zero. That's not what's happening. I've heard so many rumors about how people are calculating the true value of gold and silver. There are many different opinions on how people calculate what the true value of gold and silver is. I'm sure by now you've heard these stories floating around about the idea of creating a $1 trillion coin. The Treasury was going to authorize it, and then they would sell it to the Federal Reserve, and then we could turn around and charge up a bunch of new debt because the one coin's taking care of our current debt. If it was that simple, these idiots in Congress would continue to do it all the time so they can have unlimited spending. What gives anything its value? It's the people. We decide. The government tells us that's what the value of something is, but unless we believe it and support it, then it has no value. So $1 trillion coin would have been a mistake. No, that's not how you take care of your debt. All right, it's just not happening. So gold and silver going down to zero, not going to ever happen. Thousands of years of history as gold and silver being used as a currency. It's always the money in currency that everybody falls back to every time these monetary experiments go wrong, and we have to turn around and go back to gold and silver to cover their butts. Okay, so gold and silver prices are not at zero. Do as they do, not as they say. So what's really going on with the national debt clock? You know, people should be pissed off, first of all, at where's that number at? This one right here, liability per citizen, $541,752 per citizen. That's what our government has done to us. They have ran up so much debt that's how much we have to pay as citizens in taxes. All right, so what's going on over here with oil, gold, and silver? Well, let's take a look at something. When you come over here, it tells you, see when you wave right here, it gives you up here a little note. Take a look at it, what it says. The US dollar to gold ratio in 1913. It said the year-over-year increase in the M2 money supply in 1913 divided by the yearly world's production of gold in 1913 in ounces. The same goes over here with silver. So there's your precious metals. Go up here, what does it say? How to determine the dollar to gold ratio now. It says the year-over-year increase in the U.S. M2 money supply divided by the yearly world production of gold in ounces. That's how you calculate the dollar to the gold and silver ratios is what it is. So why is it at zero? If you come over here to the M2 money supply, you can see December 2021, it was at $21 billion. All right, that's our money supply as of December 2021. Fast forward to a year later, because it's a year-over-year increase. It went from $21,489,000,000, dropped down to $21,207,000,000. So that's a decrease in the money supply. At least that's what we're being told. So the year-over-year is what they are using to calculate the values of the ratio. So if this is in the negative, guess what happens to the ratios here on a debt clock? So according to this calculation, you're supposed to take the M2 money supply increase. Remember, whatever the increase is, and then divide it by the yearly world production of silver. Well, we did not have an increase for the first time in decades. It actually decreased. There is no increase for the silver or the gold to be divided into. It's negative. So it just sits at $0. Does that make sense? So if you look at the oil, the silver, the gold, your yearly production year over year, dividing it into the M2 money supply increase, and it's not an increase, it's a decrease, then it's zero. Now, having said that, we're already talking about stimulus checks again. We're already talking about funding the Ukraine war. We're talking about going back into lockdowns. And besides, they need to funnel this money over to do their special projects to force us into the World Economic Forum's Great Reset. So although it's zero right now, year over year, there's no doubt they're going to have to increase their money supply all over again. And then you'll see those numbers go from zero and change into something else. I mean, just look at the money supply has been growing decade after decade after decade. That's why you're seeing on the national clock the number get bigger and bigger. And you can see as of April 2022, it was up as high as 21,644,000,000. That's why you're seeing them large numbers on the national debt clock like we saw. That's because the money supply kept getting out of whack. But now, since there's a decrease, these numbers are going to be zero according to the way they do the calculations on the national debt clock. And no, it's not going to reset at midnight tonight. So that's why those are at zero. So you guys don't be surprised when you see crap like this happen. They come in here and they fiddle with stuff all the time, just like they lie about the employment numbers, just like they lie about the inflation numbers. I mean, the truth of the matter is, if you use the right formula for unemployment, we're actually at 24.4% unemployment. That's being serious. I know they're telling you 3.5, but they're lying. They've changed the way they do the calculations again, so it does not reflect negatively on this administration. The same with inflation numbers. Inflation numbers are wrong. It's over 16%. And why is that? Because once again, they changed the way that they calculate for the percentages so that it does not reflect negatively on this administration. You know they do this. Remember how they try to tell us that we were not in a recession and that they turn around and changed the definition of a recession? I love how this administration loves to go in there and say, hey, take a look at us. We're not in recession because you changed the definition of recession. Here's another thing that'll blow your mind. If you look at the real calculations for job creations, if you use the old formula, do you know how many jobs have been created by the Biden administration over the last 9 months? Just over 10,000. That's it. And 90% of those are part-time jobs. So when he says he's created 10.5 or 11 million jobs, they're lying to you. It's the new way that they're trying to calculate the job numbers so that it doesn't reflect poorly on the Biden administration. It's the same thing Obama did. So when you see something like this and it's being fiddled with, that's what's going on. They're changing the formulas or the way something is reported. But it's my understanding this has been the way for quite some time. So I hope that answers your questions, you guys, and that you're not freaked out by seeing the zeros, okay? Because it's not zero, just so you are aware. Alrighty? Anyways, that's it for now, you guys. I will get at you later. I'm out.